on the Newman Jets Audio Network. This is the Jetcast, the official podcast of Newman University Athletics, featuring exclusive interviews with coaches, players, administrators, and more. The Jetcast podcast is brought to you by South Central Sealing and Paving, online at SCSEALING.com. Mel Hambledon Ford, Pepsi, Allstate Insurance Agent Mike Light, Eck Agency, Donlinger Construction, Big Corner Creative, Dr. Brennan Lucas and Advanced Orthopedic Associates, Keystone Solid Surfaces, and by Overland Charters, the official transportation provider of Newman University Athletics. Here's the voice of the Newman Jets, Blake Cripps.
With fall sports postponed, we're getting a jump on winter sports. The next competition's on the Newman Jets athletic schedule. This week we're talking men's basketball, so welcome back to week 2 of the Jetcast. This is episode number 16. We'll be talking men's basketball today. Joining me in a few minutes will be DeAndre Johnson, returning from an injury this year for the Jets, and also Associate Athletic Director for External Operations, Zane Ehling. A couple of things to note before we get started. As you know, we are now on YouTube. Those of you listening on the audio network, you can find that newmanjets.com. Hover over the fan zone and then click Newman Jets YouTube if you'd like to watch the show. We'll still be on all of the normal podcasting type of streams that we're on, Spotify, TuneIn, and Apple Podcast. And also, if you're watching the YouTube, you can see that we're wearing a mask, but for those of you listening, you can't. So that's the reason some of the audio may be a little bit muffled, but you know, we got to do what we've got to do in this pandemic era. So we will begin today, though, with the head coach of Newman men's basketball. The Jets were 9-19 last year, 3-16 in the MIAA, and I am pleased to be joined by the 2018 Heartland Conference Coach of the Year, R.J. Allen. Coach, welcome to the show, the 2.0 of the Jetcast here. It was 2020, you hit the postseason, and boy, this has just turned into an awful year after you guys stopped playing basketball. First and foremost, how's your family, and how are you guys staying safe in this kind of new reality we find ourselves in?
You know, we're doing well. We are, trying to adjust, like you said, to a new reality, taking all the necessary precautions as everyone else, wearing masks and trying to sanitize our hands every 30 minutes. It seems like. So, but, we're here and fortunate enough to be back for another school year in person, which we're excited about, and to have these guys back on campus is something that we don't take lightly now.
Well, talking with Haley last week, she says one of the challenges was being around family so much. Albert's household kind of big. You've got a couple of boys in the Allen household. How was that kind of being stuck with them and the wife for a few months while everything was really locked down?
I'm still married. So. I can't remember ever being at home that much in a long time. Just, being kind of quarantined and having all 4 of us under one roof and just kind of hanging out. But, it's precious time. It's, you miss a lot of that as a coach of on the road and recruiting in the spring like we do. There's a lot of times where we miss having the opportunity to be with family and just kind of hang out and enjoy. So I did enjoy that part of it, of just being with my family and just trying to be creative to keep the kids, keep them active and not burn down the house, I guess.
How much did that help, having the wife and the kids around? How much did that help dealing with just the isolation and the separation, which is something that, I've never had to deal with before in that way, and I'm sure probably different for you as well.
Yeah, tremendously. That was huge for us as a family, to kind of lean on one another and to be there for each other and to help with that isolation. You're isolated, and for us, we watched a lot of movies, spend a lot of time together, try to keep our kids, up to date and motivated, to finish out the school year when we first went into quarantine. And but it, to have a support system there with you is, for me, it was extremely helpful to get us through that tough time.
Well, did you pick up any new hobbies or skills during the quarantine?
Yeah, no, I can't say I did. So just reading got through a couple books, which is always great. And just watched some television, caught up with some series on Netflix, which I haven't done in forever. I felt like,
Any suggestions for the reading list for the listeners out there?
Oh, man, there's read a good one, Why the Best Are the Best by Kevin Eastman was probably my favorite one thus far. And then there was another one that I've just finished up was it's called Sprawl Ball, just a new era of basketball, kind of basketball junkie guy. Just it's intriguing to me just to kind of learn how others think and view the game of basketball, which was kind of intriguing. So
I also noticed you picked up a new hairstyle. I can't see because the mask covers it, but go with the bearded one.
Yeah,
did you have to get pre-approval from the wife for this, or how's that going?
I tell you what, when we first went into quarantine, I had my hair growing as well, and so people who know me know that it grows on the sides. Not so much.
I've never seen you with hair on the top since I've been here.
So it actually got kind of long in the beard, so I looked like I was a caveman, to be honest with you. And I told my wife, I said, you know what, I think I'm going to try to let this grow out until we get officially out of quarantine. So she said, you're going to look crazy, but go ahead. So I did it, and we ended up taking a liking to the beard, so the beard got to stay.
Sure.
And it's a
little gray, but it adds a look of an aura of distinguish.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You look distinguished. It's okay. Normally there'd be plenty of basketball stuff to work on. I know Coach Potter kind of instilled in you a love of film and watching tape. Did you watch a lot of tape in quarantine? Was it mainly just reading those books? How did you work on basketball being isolated from the court and from the players?
I did. I watched a lot. Like you said, I'm a junkie. I love the game. I want to try to learn as much as I can. So there were a lot of Zooms. I think one of the unique things about the quarantine session was, in a lot of different ways, through the use of Zoom, able to connect with a lot of different coaches that I probably wouldn't have without that opportunity. So I've been in countless, webinars and Zooms with, other coaches and other guys from, professional basketball, college basketball, high school basketball, youth basketball, just, bouncing ideas off one another, talking experiences, talking strategies, the whole nine. So, to me, that was a huge positive for us. You're not able to physically be with the guys or work out with the guys or to travel and go recruit, but yet and still, there's a community of coaches that can come together and share ideas and still connect through a pandemic, which was a positive for me.
We're talking with Coach R.J. Allen, men's basketball coach here at Newman. How challenging was it, and how important was it for you and the other coaches to try to keep that connection with your players, even being physically distanced from them during that time, which had to be difficult for those young men as well?
Absolutely. It was difficult for all of us. You come together and you spend so much time with these young men, and we're like a family. They're like a part of your family, your extended family. So to kind of have that abruptly just come to an end and you have to go your own separate ways and be on lockdown was difficult. And what we did into the spring, we were able to finish up our class probably earlier than we've ever been able to do since I've been here. Is just we did a lot of Zoom. We Zoomed once a week, with our newcomers and our returners, and I thought that was a good starting point for us. One, in a lot of different ways, it was just therapeutic to see everybody's faces, just to see these guys, see, smiles on their faces and a little bit of excitement and joy in their eyes when they were able to connect with their buddies and we were able to talk. But the same time, we were able to kind of talk basketball and expectations and things like that well before they came to campus, and try to build some of those connections and relationships through the summer, through those Zoom sessions, was a unique experience. But again, it was something that we kind of tried to take a negative and turn into a positive.
Well, and there have been so many difficult situations in 2020, starting, in January, really, and it's been continuing. You can follow Coach Ron R.J. Allen on Twitter at Coach R_Allen, and following the really difficult week when George Floyd was killed, you had this to say on Twitter. I wanted to ask you about it. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm trying to not take anything out of context, but he said, "The last week, my emotions have been all over the place. I felt anger, sadness, and fear. As the father of 2 black sons and the coach of many black college-age men, I constantly worry about the society they will continue to grow up in." And you went on to mention that you were going to have some conversations with your team about how they were feeling and about, what they were thinking, what their feelings were about all of the things that were going on and the uncomfortable truth in this country that a lot of there is a disparate percentage of men who are unarmed, killed by police, and they are black. How did you go about having that conversation? Because it's about so much more than just basketball. But when you sign up to be a coach at this level, you kind of are a father figure to these guys. How did you go about trying to have that difficult conversation with your team?
Those conversations are still ongoing. I go back to June when we first had our initial Zoom conversation, and to me at that point in time, it was just more so to get a reaction on how they're doing. Where are they at mentally? What's their mindset, their state of mind, their mind frame? And it was powerful. They were good conversations, and for a group of guys to majority of them being new, we were probably on that Zoom for close to an hour,
Wow.
just having those type of conversations and the experiences that they've had and their emotions at that point in time. And we met last week again. Some of the things that we're doing, we're continuing to have that conversation, but we're trying to take it a step further, where it's just not a conversation. I'll be the first to say it here. We were going to announce it on Twitter, but we have 100% voter registration on the men's basketball team.
That's amazing.
And a lot of these guys are, pretty much all of them, this is the first time they ever are going to have an opportunity to vote,
sure.
So that their voices can be heard, and that, every vote counts. And those are some of the conversations that we've had. We've started an initiative with the USD 259 Public Schools men's basketball program. It's called Involved, where we are a virtual mentorship program with Bueller Elementary, Mayberry Middle School, or some of the schools that our young men are going to be working with, to try to continue to cast a positive light on some of their experiences and what they're doing, to try to help encourage the next kid coming up, and to try to be a positive role model, to keep kids encouraged, to keep them wanting to do more and wanting to do better. So those are some of the things that we've started, and that we're going to continue to push, and we're going to continue to work with, and continue to have conversations. We have Officer Watson coming in at the end of the week on Friday, hopefully to come in and address our team, because
from Wichita Police.
Yep, Wichita Police. We want to educate. We want to have those conversations. We want to have those discussions. To educate, to inform, to empower. That's important to me. That's something that I don't take lightly. That's something that we want to continue to push, and we want to continue to make sure that our young men feel like they're informed and that they have a voice as well.
Well, it definitely hits a lot of what I've been doing, and I'll give a plug to my other employers at the Sedgwick County Election Office. If you'd like any information on voting, you can go to sedgwickcounty.org/elections. We've got a lot on that website for you if you are interested in working the polls, being a board worker, or voting on Election Day. sedgwickcounty.org/elections. So shout out to you, Commissioner Tabitha Lehman. You'll appreciate that. You also mentioned in that post that you've got several players working in law enforcement, and so you saw that side of it as well, being afraid of their safety. And I remember talking to Anthony Harvey Jr., who just graduated, and he said that was his plan, to go into criminal justice and maybe become a police officer. I wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do there, but have you heard from any of those guys who are now in law enforcement or criminal justice, and what have those conversations been like?
I have two former players who both work in law enforcement. One being Anthony Harvey. He's just accepted into the police academy in Lawrence.
Oh, great. Awesome.
We're super proud of him and just so proud of what he's done and what he's accomplished, and actually spoke to him probably about 2 weeks ago, but I remember I got the phone call when he officially got accepted into the academy, and just his appreciation and gratitude for what the program had taught him. He said he didn't always see it at the time, but now he's so thankful for the lessons that he's learned, and felt like that paid off, for him to get that accomplishment and to start that next chapter in his career. And to me, like, I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him. But yet, no, I'm fearful because I know he has an extremely tough job.
Sure, absolutely.
And we talk about family, like, I'm somewhat protective of these guys because I feel like, for 4 years, 2 years, 1 year, however long, I'm responsible for them.
Sure.
While they're under my watch. So you kind of gain that attachment when you develop those relationships with them. So, I understand how tough a job that they have, and I have another former player who's works for the Minnesota State Highway Patrol.
At your last stop
at Concordia St. Paul, Chris Hamblin, and he's a tremendous young man, and he is doing great things for his community, doing great things for the community, and working his tail off. And I'm so proud of those guys. I'm proud of their accomplishments and what they've been able to do, and I know they have extremely difficult jobs, and I worry about those guys because they're family.
Sure.
They're important to us, and they're special to me. So, and that's what we're trying to continue to do is bridge that gap and to eliminate any fears or misconceptions of one side or another, and to continue to try to bring people together. Because for the most part, everybody wants peace, they want love,
absolutely,
they want success in life.
Well, you speak of family. Ron Allen was actually on sports radio here a few months ago talking about these issues, about his transition going to Wichita Southeast, and I believe he said he was the first ever black player to start on the varsity at Wichita Southeast, and some of his trials and tribulations. I thought his message was really powerful. Did you know that? I had no idea. I knew a lot about the coaching accolades in Wichita East. I did not know about him being in that situation when they were, Wichita schools were getting into integration. And boy, obviously, if you remove, black players from Wichita Southeast, well, you're taking a lot of the old-timers away from Southeast at that point now, looking back.
Sure, there's always, a tidbit here and there that he'll throw out there that I had no clue about. We actually had a conversation about a week ago when we all heard there were two legendary coaches that kind of passed, within days of each other, Lute Olson and John Thompson.
Yeah.
And so we were having a conversation, and he also had mentioned, he played at the University of Arizona, and his coach, Fred Snowden, was the first African-American black Division I head coach that he played for. So I didn't know about Southeast of him being the first African-American player, but he talks a lot about playing for the first Division I black head coach and Fred Snowden.
Well, obviously this is a time that you want to bring the team together through these difficult circumstances with everything going on, and probably no better way than the annual R.J. Allen Wichita Invitational Scavenger Hunt. So who won, and where'd you come up with this idea? Because this isn't the first time you've done this.
No, we try to do it yearly. It's just it's a great opportunity for guys to kind of get together. Our thought process as a staff is just, to get the guys together on the weekends when we don't necessarily have workouts or practice. We try to find days that work, and we get the guys together, and we just kind of fellowship and get together and just kind of hang out. And so we piece together. I'm not the only one that does it, but they piece together a scavenger hunt, get the guys off campus, allow them to kind of navigate the city of Wichita, which we are so lucky to be in, and try to have a little fun on the weekends.
Who won that? Was there anything on the line for that?
Normally it's just some gear, and that keeps those guys pretty motivated.
Sure.
So we'll throw some T-shirts. We've done jackets in the past.
Sure.
They team up. This year was a little different, as we got to kind of be a little bit more strategic in our groups. Right. But we felt like they had fun, and I think it's our big guys won.
Oh, the big guys won. Okay.
So
very nice.
Yeah.
Time for your question chain question. So if you watch the women's show, you know how this works. Listeners, you already know how this works. But the way this is going to work is I'm going to ask you a question that you want my next guest, DeAndre Johnson, to answer. And then at the end of his interview, he's going to give me a question that I'm going to ask the next player. So I'm going to wait until I know what that player is, but he's going to get the chance to ask the next question. And just be forewarned that this will eventually make it back around to you.
Okay.
You're going to have to answer somebody else's question. So what question do you want me to ask DeAndre Johnson? And this could be, the only rule is it has to be a question and an answer that you can say in front of your grandma. Now, if she blushes, that's okay. But if you're not comfortable saying it in front of grandma, then I would suggest that you go into another question.
I tell you what, DeAndre and I, we actually have something in common. We're kind of foodies. So
okay.
we tend to go out. So I want to know what is his favorite restaurant here.
All right. Very good. Great question. We'll get you out of here on this. Two questions. First of all, how great is it to have this guy back on campus after he really started on a tear? I know you wish you had him last year, but how good is it to have him back in Wichita and have him back kind of within the circle?
Man, tremendous. I can't say enough good things about DeAndre. He's was here when this thing when we took over, and just to see him kind of grow and develop as a young player, and then to have that year cut short in the way it did, was gut-wrenching. But to have him back on campus, he looks great. He has a fire in his eye. I can see the eagerness in him, and just the positivity in his voice has been tremendous to have him around. And then he just, his aura and his leadership abilities, that's probably been one of the greatest things to kind of see evolve and develop is, here's a kid that came in as a freshman and didn't know very much and had some tough days. He did. But to see him kind of evolve into the player that he is right now, and some leadership qualities that he possesses has been great. And I'm so happy and thankful to have him back, and I look forward for him to continue to grow and to be even better than he was when he got hurt.
Last one for you. How have you been addressing player concerns regarding whether or not you're going to play? And obviously, you don't have the answer to that question, and I don't, and I'd love to know who does, but how have you been addressing that with the team, and whether or not or when they're going to play, and how you prepare for that?
It's been tough. These kids want to play. They want to play. They need to play. And, so we're preparing as normal.
Sure.
We're preparing, as if the season's going to tip off here in November. So that's kind of been our mindset and our thought process, and doing everything we can to take the necessary precautions to make sure that happens. Like I said, am a strong believer that these, we want basketball this year. We need basketball this year. So we want to get these guys back on the floor. That young man wants to get back on the floor. So we're planning to go as normal. We're not, not changing. And if we, come upon a time where we have to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments, in that appropriate time. But right now we're going to continue on as normal and prepare and just hope for the best.
R.J. Allen, the mantra, one game at a time and not changing. Coach, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Blake.
When we come back, DeAndre Johnson will join us as we continue the Jetcast.
Fact is, every insurance company hopes you drive safely. But Allstate actually helps you drive safely with DriveWise. It lets you know when you go too fast and brake too hard. With feedback to help you drive safer, giving you the power to actually lower your cost. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
Check out your Allstate agent here in Wichita, Mike Light, at 316-684-0121. The Jetcast is sponsored by Dr. Brendan Lucas with Advanced Orthopedics, the official orthopedic surgeon of Newman Athletics. Thank you to Donlinger Construction, proud supporter of Newman Athletics.
Back on episode 16 of the Jetcast, and we are talking men's basketball this week. Welcome back to the program, and now we're joined by DeAndre Johnson. If you missed him last year, it wasn't necessarily your fault. He only got to play in 3 games, but in those 3 games, he was averaging 15 points and 10 rebounds, 6 points and 6 rebounds per game, team leader in blocks his last full season back in 2018-2019. From Austin, Texas, DeAndre Johnson joining me. DeAndre, it is great to see you back in Wichita. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's great to be here, man.
Well, how have you been dealing with this whole weird pandemic situation we find ourselves in?
Pretty much just everybody else. So social distancing. It's been crazy. Like pretty much wearing a mask every day.
Yeah.
It's like the new norm. Wearing a mask in class. Everything is pretty much is different. Like when you go to eat, like everything's spread out. It's not like you can just walk like you used to be. Just walk anywhere and do everything. Everything is like much more precaution. Pretty much, I would say.
Well, what's been the toughest part about the separation that you had when you got injured last year? You made a couple of trips, but ended up going back to Texas to have your surgery done, which went well. Mm-hmm. And obviously rehab, as Coach Allen said, has gone well. But what was the most difficult part about being away from class, from school, and from your teammates for that extended period of time?
I would say just being away from my teammates, because when I had surgery, I couldn't walk for like 7 weeks. I couldn't even put pressure on my leg for 7 weeks. So I was pretty much in a bed all day. And I felt like if I would have been at school around my teammates, stuff like that, I would have been around love. And I was around love with my parents, but like I would have had a lot more people around to interact with. When I was at home, I really didn't have anybody to interact with. So I would say definitely my teammates and just being around my team.
First 3 games last year, boy, you were absolutely on fire, playing at such a high level. How did it feel to come out of the gate last season and be playing that well?
It felt really good. It felt like everything slowed down, like the game got slower. And it felt like I can just do pretty much anything that I wanted to do, really. It felt like everything was coming together. Everything I worked on was coming together, and I was really excited, actually. So I was really hurt when I got hurt.
I mean, how did you try to? Is there any way you can stay positive when something like that? I mean, obviously you can't fall into, I guess, despair, but obviously that it's such a difficult hurdle to overcome. How did you do it?
My parents really helped me a lot with that, because there was when I first got hurt, I was down. Because when I got hurt at first, we really didn't know what it was until I went to go get the MRI, and Cam texted me. He was like, "Yeah, you got to get on crutches and everything." And I was like, "Oh man," that's when I knew I was like, that's when I really got down. So when I went home and had like a consultation with the doctor and stuff like that, and they was just telling me the process. So my parents really just helped me just keep a positive mind and know like, whenever I get back, I'll be 10 times better when I get back. So that's really what kept me going, just knowing whenever I get back, then it's just all work. Like
it was an ACL injury, correct?
No, it was I broke cartilage.
Oh, that's right. It was cartilage
break.
Well, sadly, boy, you guys on the basketball team have had more than your fair share of knee injuries. Jacob Birnbaum is an expert. Did you talk to him? What did he tell you about trying to come back from a knee injury?
Yeah, I talked to JB a lot. He was basically just telling me whenever I get back, just keep a positive mindset, because when I get back, I'm not going to be 100% off as soon as I get back. Like, it's just something I got to work towards. So I just been living by those words, just trying to keep patience and just going every day and working as hard as I can.
How tough was the rehab?
It was pretty tough. When I first started rehab, it felt like I couldn't do anything. Like, it was crazy. But as I kept going and it kept feeling a little better, it started to get better.
Well, so it's been, let's see, when did that happen? It's been almost a year, like about 10 months, because it happened right there in the first 2 weeks. Yeah, it was in November. Physically, how do you feel right now today?
Physically, I feel great, actually. I feel like I'm not 100%. I'm probably about, I say 80 to 85%.
85, okay.
But physically, I feel great. I don't have no pain or whatsoever, so I'm feeling good right now.
Hey, we'd like to see you play this year, obviously. Yeah. So mentally, as you approach this season that's coming up, as of today, you're starting November 19th. Actually, I think that's been pushed back to November 18th is the new schedule now. It'll be a Wednesday open against Pittsburgh State. Obviously, and I know this from talking to Faith, who had a similar knee injury at the end of the Heartland Conference tournament a couple of years ago, and she always talked about you want to come back, you want to be 100% right out of the gate, but it doesn't always work that way. Maybe it will for you, but maybe it won't. Yeah. How do you adjust mentally your expectations for yourself if your knee isn't quite ready? How do you adjust?
I would say, like, if it isn't quite ready, I would just take mental notes. Like, if I'm in a game or something like that and I feel something that's off or something, like, just take a mental note and just try to use the trainers as much as I can, like, to help me get to where I was, because they've been great so far, and they're helping me a lot, and really just trying to keep them on my back and trying to do everything I can just to get back to 100%.
We're talking with DeAndre Johnson. He is going to be a redshirt junior on this Newman men's basketball team, set to open up the season November 18th. A lot of new faces on this year's team. How is this team coming together so far?
It's coming together real well, actually. Like Coach said before, when we was in the summer, we had the Zoom calls, and that was pretty cool, actually. When we first started doing them, getting to know everybody, getting to know where they were from, what school they attended, how they really are, like, just talking to them one-on-one. And once we got to campus, it's like we just picked up right where we left off. So it's like basically I've been knowing them for a minute, and we got here, and it's like we already cool. We already just close like this, so it was pretty good. I like everybody on the team.
It's an interesting group this year. You've got several players, all races, all different backgrounds, and actually this year from multiple continents. You've got a South American on the team. You've got obviously people from North America, but not from the United States, some Canadians, and a couple of Europeans as well, so it's a very diverse group.
Yeah, it is.
How have these protests and civil rights, obviously, has been a big topic of conversation in this country among the pandemic, and Coach Allen mentioned that he had talked to you guys. I'm sure those were difficult conversations to have, but as a young black man yourself, how have you kind of processed everything that's been going on these last 2 or 3 months in this country?
Basically, I just try to stay educated as much as I can, like do as much research, just try not to go by what everybody says or what the media says, because a lot of wrong information can be passed around. So if anything, I just try to stay as much as educated as I can on every situation.
You kind of took the next question right off my page. There's a lot of people telling, not just you specifically, but everyone, what to do or not to do, or how you should or should not feel. How do you use that research that you do to kind of gain your own perspective and figure out what DeAndre thinks about, life in the world?
Yeah, basically I just try to form my own opinion opinion about things. I try to just stay in my own lane a lot. I don't really, if somebody will tell me something, I'll go back and then look and try to form my opinion. I wouldn't really necessarily like just call someone out or something. I just, just stay mellow, and I'm not really like a, what do you say? I'm not really like a person that'll be on the front about everything.
Sure.
I just try to just stay in the back, do my own research, form my own opinion, and just stay low.
Well, Coach Allen has said, and you were a little bit, you came in as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I necessarily want to say that you were timid, but you were maybe a bit unsure.
Yeah, I was.
And I still remember that Northwestern Oklahoma State game on the road.
Mm-hmm.
You guys didn't win, but you were a player that I didn't recognize.
Mm-hmm.
He came out, I think you had of your first 4 field goals, I think 3 of them were dunks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of them was right in somebody's face. You were getting rebounds. And Coach Allen talked about how, you're not a guy that's in the background anymore. You're starting to develop leadership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's that process been like, kind of transitioning as you need to, from being an underclassman, and now you're an upperclassman, been in the program for 3-4 years, so you're expected to be a leader now.
Yeah. It's basically a role that I've kind of grown to. It's a mindset that I had to change, because when I was a freshman, I was a little timid. I didn't really want to say a lot, and as the years went on, I just had to change my mindset, and I just had to keep telling myself, like, I got to speak up more sometimes. Like, I just got to be setting a good example for, because I know as a freshman, they look up to us like I did when I was a freshman. I looked up to the juniors and seniors. So now the role that I am now, I know I have to set a good example for everybody, for the freshmen looking up to me, because whatever I do, they follow behind me. So it's basically just a mindset that I had to change, basically. Yeah.
Well, we're hoping that they're going to be following you in a basketball season coming up.
Yeah.
Time for your chain question. RJ Allen got to pick the first question, so when we get the next men's basketball player, I'll get in touch with Coach Allen, and you'll get to ask that player a question. Your question is, what is your favorite restaurant? Coach RJ said you're a bit of a foodie here, which I am as well, if you can't tell. What's your favorite restaurant here in Wichita?
Actually, I'm a big pizza fan, so I would say Old Chicago. Old Chicago is the first. This is the first time I had it when I came down here.
Oh, okay.
I went on it on my visit when they took me to Old Chicago, and I just loved it, because that was the first time I had it, and they had the good deep dish pieces.
The Chicago style.
Yeah.
That might. I don't know. Maybe there's another place, but I mean that's the only place I could think of for Chicago.
Yeah,
So Old Chicago, you're a fan.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, final question for you: a successful season. Obviously, you guys came off of a 3-16 season. A little bit different for you. 3-16 in the MIAA, I should say. A little different for you because you didn't get a chance to really play for any of the MIAA conference games. What would you define a successful season as this year? It doesn't necessarily have to be a win total or a place in the standings, but how are you going to judge your season and the team season in terms of whether or not it's a success?
I would say just going out every single game, leaving it all on the floor. Just going out every single game, playing like it's your last game, because I know that's what I'm going to do every game. I just want to be the best team that we can be, collectively come together, being able to call these guys brothers for real, just being together. Our togetherness, I would say, will judge being a successful season, not just wins and losses, just how together we are.
DeAndre Johnson, a redshirt junior forward, will be starting on the interior. You guys won the scavenger hunt, right?
I wasn't part of the group.
You were on the big guys team?
Not that group.
Oh, man.
I haven't won it since I've been here.
Well, you got one more shot.
One more shot.
Hey, we're looking forward to seeing you play this season.
Yeah, I can't wait to play as well.
Thanks you so much. When we come back, we've got Associate Athletic Director for External Operations, Zane Ehling, when we wrap up the Jetcast after this.
Where can you land the best Jet swag? The official online store of Newman University Athletics, NUJetsgear.com. The store features the greatest variety of Jets logo gear anywhere, from latest clothing styles and hats to Newman branded lawn chairs and office supplies and more. NUJetsgear.com is your place to purchase sports-specific, alumni, parents, and hard-to-find Newman merchandise. Shop right now on your computer or phone, NUJetsgear.com, or click the Shop Now button at NewmanJets.com.
wrapping up the second episode of our second season of the Jetcast, and we'll be back next week. Just a quick preview, going to our traditional fall sports next week, so kind of transitioning away the kind of the sports that we should be talking about this time of the year. We're going to start going through them. We'll double back around to the winter sports as well. We're going to get wrestling on. They're going to be coming up, so all the sports will have their time on the Jetcast here over the next couple of weeks, but we're going back to the athletic department for this interview. One of the masterminds of everything that you see here, and he's now the Associate Athletic Director for External Operations, longtime baseball coach here at Newman. Coach Zane Ehling is on the Jetcast 2.0 for the first time. Coach, how do you like the setup here? We've got the graphics, we've got the camera. You've really kind of transformed this thing in Season 2.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little extra time on our hands, so
yeah,
gives us some time to experiment with some things, try to improve things, and see kind of where it takes us.
Well, external operations can mean a lot of different things, and it does at a lot of different schools. What would you say your primary role is in external operations?
A little bit of everything, I would say, from internal and external.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing stuff just to try to promote our athletic department, and then you have the fundraising side, which takes up a lot of time, which is very enjoyable to build relationships with different people that love Newman too. I mean, that's probably the best part of my job, at least.
Well, how bad did the coaching bug hit you last year? Around January, February, that was the first time that you had kind of been without that coaching grind, the preseason workouts, and obviously we know the season did get cut short, but how bad did you get hit with that coaching bug last year?
I mean, to be quite honest, I didn't really notice it that much because we were so busy with basketball season, wrapping up basketball season, and then getting to baseball season. It was still cold, and of course you're not going to miss it when it's cold. Really when it really hit me was when the pandemic started and we were at home, and obviously we took advantage of that time at home with my family, but to see the spring from home was much different than what I've been used to my entire life, and that's when it really kind of hit me how much I miss baseball and stuff like that. So it was really when we were at home, when we were all at home, that it really hit me, because just realizing that's where I would have been in the past, and it was so much different with being at home. That's when it really kind of hit me.
How much have you been able to keep in touch with old players?
Quite a bit. I mean, even throughout the pandemic, I spent a lot of time reaching out to old players and seeing how they're doing, and we're kind of, when you're looking for stuff to do, you kind of venture out and to see how everybody's doing, especially how things were affecting everybody, because it affected everybody so much differently.
Well, you guys just made the announcement a few days ago, maybe a week or so ago from when this is showing, but $70,000 raised for student athletes at the Jet Open in this year, and at the time, quite a bit of an economic uncertainty. Certainly when you were, doing the bulk of your fundraising there in, April and May for the Jet Open, there was a lot of uncertainty about a lot of things at that point, but I know Athletic Director Joanna Pryor was very happy. How happy were you with how things turned out for the Jet Open this year? The golf went on, but obviously the pre-party had to be scrapped this year because of the restrictions, but how successful of an event was it for you and for Newman University?
Yeah, given everything going on, I don't think we could have expected it to be as successful as it was. So even without the auction doing so well with sponsorships, it just goes back to there's a lot of people that want to support us, and it's good to tap on those things, and then with that being said, with the auction being online, I think there's a lot of things that we see as a benefit of it being online that maybe we can take advantage of in the future. So again, I don't think it could have gone better. we had, our normal amount of teams, and we, it just
everybody had a good
really,
time.
Really well, yeah.
A little warm that day, if I don't.
It was perfect.
But in terms of golfing weather, you couldn't have been much better.
No, not at all.
Did it help your golf? Were you able to golf?
I did golf.
Did it help your game?
No, not at all. No. I'm not a great golfer. We had a good time, but it doesn't matter what the weather is. It doesn't make me any better.
We're here with Zane Ehling, Associate Athletic Director, External Operations. We've noticed, and I mentioned this last week, here you've got the new graphics for the Jetcast, those of you watching on YouTube, but you'll see in the corner all of these local businesses that are now supporting Newman University, and looking up here, a lot of old-time sponsors like Keystone Solid Surfaces and South Central Sealing and Paving, Donlier Construction, but quite a few new ones up there as well. What's it been like going out? And you mentioned there are so many people that want to support Newman Athletics. How have you been able to identify them? And I know that's a process that's going on even right now.
Yeah, it's just about asking and building relationships with people. So just trying to go out and find people that have a spot for Newman in their heart, and then try to see if they want to support us, and try to show them all the good parts about supporting us with our student athletes from the financial end, and then all the good parts about what we can do for them from the publicity side. And it's just all about the relationships and the good people out there.
Well, and what's been the biggest challenge of fundraising right now with the uncertainty, because there's certain things that you've promised in these packages, and we played ads last week in this show. We're going to be playing more ads, and if you'd like to have your ad played in this show, you can go to newmanjets.com, hover over the give, and then go down to Aviator Club. You can join that way. There's a donate button, or you can call the office as well. They'd love to talk to you about being a sponsorship and maybe getting up there. I'm still holding out hope for the official potato chip of the Jetcast. Still holding out hope for that one. But whether games not being played obviously will have an impact on what you've promised these great sponsors, that any athletic department, I guarantee you all the other athletic departments in the MIAA are doing exactly what you're doing. How does that affect your ability to fulfill those obligations that you have to them?
Well, we just got to be creative, and we announced last week that we're going to have an alumni golf tournament as our alumni reunion.
And that's coming up here in about 3 weeks, right? Yep. Just after the 1st of October?
Yep. So we'll throw some sponsorship into that. Just got to be creative and find ways to, make up some of the lost time that we have. But I think overall, once we get to playing again, we'll have plenty of opportunities to get out of their packages what they paid for.
Well, another thing that you have been busy with is welcoming another family member to the Ehling household. It was a fifth kid, number 5.
Number 5, that's right.
Is this a boy or a girl?
A little boy. Yeah.
So where are we at so far in terms of the count, boys and girls?
So we're girl, boy now.
3 boys in a row.
Yep.
Congratulations, Mrs. Ehling is doing well.
Very well, yep.
So are we going for a full baseball team? We have 7 so far. Boy, we're almost there.
Yeah, you never know what's in the cards, but I think this is probably about done for us. We'll see what happens. We said that last time. So I don't know if that's going to be in the cards for us, but
we'll see if they can figure that out. What's it been like to have the new guy around? What's the name?
Archie.
Archie?
Yep.
What's it been like to have him around?
He's been a great baby. He's
I'd say you two probably should have this pretty much down to a science at this point, right?
For sure. Yeah, he's been great. He sleeps and he eats, and that's about it. So.
Well, that's probably what he should be doing at this point. One thing that Coach Ehling also works on, that's not necessarily external operations, but he is also in charge of a lot of the branding, the merchandise, the apparel, the logos. The Newman Jets Audio Network is kind of him and Colin's thing that he put together. And NUJetsGear.com is the website to get all this official Newman gear. And I understand from talking to you last week that you're planning on kind of totally ripping that up and revamping it here really soon in terms of taking off a lot of the old products and putting in new products coming up. How long do you think that's going to take?
It really depends on them more than anything. I think we're pretty close to being ready. We just, talk to alumni and stuff. We want to give them stuff that they can wear to be proud of. So we try to create a look that people can be proud of, that they want to wear, and also, for our student athletes too.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things that you're seeing in terms of the uniforms, the logo, and apparel is a brand new Newman word mark, which you can see proudly displayed on my polo. I wore this on purpose today. This is the new Newman University Athletics word mark that is going to be appearing more on the website, more in social media. It's already being used a lot more. And this actually debuted on the Newman men's basketball uniforms in a more spread out version. I believe it was 2017, 2018. I don't know if you knew it was a test run at that point, but you've kind of shortened up the spacing and made it the primary word mark. I really like it. How did you come to the decision that this was the right way? Because there's been a lot of Newman word marks over the years. What made this word mark stand out to you and to Joe?
Yeah, I think, me and Colin did a lot of experimenting on what, looked good for us, and just trying to get everybody more uniform across our sports so we could promote ourselves better, and just experimenting with different fonts and trying to come up with something, but came up with this one that, I think feeds well with our Jets logo, and it's an Adidas font too that feeds well with our apparel, so it came out and it just worked out very naturally.
Yeah, it looks good on the uniform, which boy, I'd love to see they were already in the pipeline, so you can't really go back. You've got to get uniforms out months in advance. So before it was made, boy, I think that those new women's basketball baby blues are going to be wearing as an alternate. Boy, with this word mark, I think would be fantastic, but maybe in a few years if they win some big games in those might become a tradition here at Newman. Who knows? How important is it going to be to have consistency in terms of the logos and the apparel and the word mark, which is not something that maybe has been at the forefront of decisions in the past for Newman?
Well, I think it helps you with recruiting. It helps you getting recognized out in the community. It helps you with alumni, just across the board. It's a big part of the world today. So we got to get up to speed and make sure that we look good, and try to help our coaches recruit and all that stuff and set them up for success.
So we'll be seeing some apparel on the NU Jets store website with this soon?
Very soon, yeah.
And doesn't mean you guys aren't necessarily, obviously Newman's not phasing out the NU logo. That's still going to be used at the institution level.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to be phasing it out, not maybe eliminating it outright, but phasing it out from athletic apparel here these next few seasons?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
So, next up is your question chain question from Joanna Pryor, athletic director last week, and the next athletic department member that we have on, which I think is going to be Mo. It might be Colin behind the camera here. You could ask them a question. I'll get in touch with you. But Joanna Pryor wanted to know, what is your why? Now, I don't know if I'm going to ask it 2 more times, and maybe she's going to fire me for that, but let's just ask you once. What is your why? She wants to know why you do what you do.
Well, the first reason is because she's my boss, and that's a good answer. I do what I'm supposed to do because of her. But really, it's you listen to RJ today. Just a great leader and a great representation of our coaching staff and all those guys and gals up there that coach our student athletes. Those are, I guess, my whys. We got a lot of good people within our department.
Sure.
And, just trying to make things better for them and get them publicity as much as possible and set them up from a recruiting standpoint as much as possible. All those things is my why, is just because we got such great people here, and you don't want to let any of those people down.
And he does take care of them. Took care of me with a new jacket today, by the way, which you might be able to find on the new website. It's nujetsgear.com. And so in a couple of weeks, they're going to have everything revamped with brand new options, T-shirts, all that. with the fancy new word mark, nujetsgear.com. It's another great way to help out and help support Newman University athletics. Final question. You've accomplished a lot here these last couple of seasons, obviously with the fall through of the radio deal, which was at the very last second. We were able to cobble together an audio network and build that kind of out of thin air. So you've got that going, you have this going, and you Jets Gear. We had a new Newman Athletics app, which you can download on Google Play or the App Store. Just search Newman Athletics.
Which Colin's setting up some trivia to go out.
Is he really? Okay. You going to be prizes for that eventually, maybe?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Okay, so download the Newman University Athletics app, Google Play or the App Store. You got that done, and that's also got live audio from our events when they return. They're going to return. I just don't know when they will return. So you've accomplished a lot. What's the next big project for you?
I think most of it's just refining what we got right now. I think we took on a lot that first year, and just trying to make sure that we're doing it at high quality and improving the quality as we go on. So I think that's the main thing, and then just still continue to try to get more people involved with Newman Athletics.
And what will be the best way if someone wants to be a sponsor of the network, get their ads in front of, and not only do you get ads when you sponsor the network, you get ads. It'll be on the court at Fugate Gymnasium, out at McCarthy Field, out at the Newman Soccer at Wilkins Field, at the Diamond Sports Complex. It'll be signage at the games, public address announcements, obviously here. What's the best way if there's a business that thinks, you know what, I remember going to Newman Athletics games as a kid, and I want to support the Jets. What's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Just shoot me an email at ehlingz@newmanu.edu, and which is EHLINGZ@newmanu.edu, and it's kind of hard spelling sometimes for people.
That's okay.
But, just shoot me an email or just give us a call here in the office, whatever, we'll get connected no matter what.
Absolutely. So that's all the many ways that you can support Newman University athletics, and as I mentioned, nujetsgear.com will have the new apparel up here very shortly. Zane Ehling, the Associate Athletic Director for External Operations, wrapping up episode 2 here on season 2 of the Jetcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Blake.
Thank you for watching and listening here today. Next week, we're going to get into more traditional fall sports. Obviously, we can't forget about them. We'll be talking Newman Jets volleyball next week. So until then, Blake Cripps saying, go Jets.